Warriors and Grizzlies tonight in Memphis. Grizzlies are the underdogs still at home. Total is 227.5. The Warriors took game one, 117-116, a nail-biter down the stretch. Draymond Green was ejected in the second quarter of that game, but he will be back for this full game, let's hope. Chris, I suppose we'll just try and start with you, hoping that we're guessing that the workers are going to be quiet right now.
Yeah, I'm sorry that this is the theme of this show. You know, in my defense, I tried to have a conversation before the show. Not a lot of English spoken in this house right now, which is okay. I need to improve my Spanish again.
Yeah, maybe that's just what you need to be working on.
Exactly,
we need to get you a Rosetta Stone or something.
Yes, I used to be very good at Spanish. Anyway, yeah. So I expect this to be another good game too. But even though it's a short line and it should be a battle at certain points, I'm going to really trust the Warriors in this one. The Grizzlies just became too jaw dependent in that first game. You know, kind of like the Mavs with Luka. Sometimes what happens, like we saw last night, right? You force it to be all about Luka. The Warriors are forcing it to be all about Ja. And as good as Ja is, I mean, at 22 years old, he's probably my favorite player in the NBA right now. I don't think he's going to be able to hold the entire team on his back. Good thing for the Grizzlies is they have a lot of great players on their team. They just didn't perform very well in the first game. But, you know, as we all know at this point, Draymond Green also wasn't in the majority of that last game. And I expect him to come back and make a big difference in this one, especially Draymond coming off of an ejection. You know, he's still going to bring the fire, but this is a Warriors defense that really stepped it up in the second half without their main defender. And if you look at the way that this roster is constructed, from Klay Thompson now to Steph Curry, who made that awesome play against Ja Morant at the end, they just have more solid defenders across their roster. Guys can just, step in and step up. And they really didn't shoot that well on offense. So I think we got kind of like a mediocre version of the Warriors, but we got one of the better versions that I've seen of the Grizzlies, especially in the first half. I just expect that the Warriors are going to take care of business tonight. In that first game, 81% of the Warriors shots, either from the corner three, or from the three-point line or from the rim. They had a lot of success there, and that's very basic basketball, right? You get into the paint or you pitch it out. Get into the paint, pitch it out. Very much like the Suns. The Golden State Warriors are very talented at that, and the Grizzlies really struggle to stop it. Grizzlies have struggled to stop that all year, though. So I don't know if they're going to be able to fix that tonight. Golden State also won the rebounding battle, which is really impressive considering how small their lineup was at certain points. So, listen, this is a really good Grizzlies team. They're at home. I think they're going to fight hard. But ultimately, again, the Warriors are the more experienced team. They're going to have more poise in those late game situations. Jaren Jackson is not going to be able to go 6 for 9 from beyond the arc in every game either. He's a great player though. But I just think that some of what we saw in the first half of that game was a little unsustainable. So I expect the Warriors to be even more buttoned up tonight, and we see a better version of the Warriors, then I have to expect them to cover. I'll take them at -2. Still a very short line.
All right, so you mentioned Jaren Jackson Jr. I'm going to play the under here, and he is one of the reasons I'm going to play the under. I mean, he shot 6 of 9 from 3, scored 33 points in that game, and yes, he's a fantastic player, a great shooter for his size, but he's averaging 16 points per game and 16 points against the Warriors this year. So that's quite the difference. The third quarter also sped up a ton as soon as Draymond Green left. The two teams combined for 65 third quarter points. Add Draymond Green back into the mix, I think that slows down a little bit. And then the Warriors kind of beat Memphis at their own game. I mean, 56 points in the paint. They scored off turnovers, cuts to the basket, second chance points. They had 26 second chance points, and that was the second most they've had all season. So the Warriors are a great outside shooting team. They're going to continue to be great outside, but I think the Grizzlies will up their paint presence a little bit tonight, which might equate to a lower overall total for both of these teams. Josh, what is your luck in this game with the Grizzlies and Warriors?
I like Memphis to bounce back here in this spot. I think that they were impressive in that first half. They came undone a little bit in the second half. It was one of those situations, right, where you see a superstar or a key player get ejected and the other team sort of step up in their absence. And I think that's what we saw a little bit from Golden State. And I'm not saying that they can't replicate that with Draymond on the floor, because they're obviously a much better team when he's available. But I think it certainly had a part to play in the way that the game script unfolded. a couple of key things as well, like you mentioned, Kate, those second chance opportunities, those offensive rebounds, they're outliers for Golden State. I don't think that happens again. You're talking about one of the better rebounding teams in the league in Memphis, and they were completely dominated on the glass in that second half. And that's something that I think that they tidy up pretty easily as well. They have the personnel to do so, and I think it becomes a point of emphasis in Game 2 is to not allow those second chance opportunities for Golden State. Which in turn, I mean, it means that, if you're securing the rebound, they can play downhill and play in transition, which is where they're most comfortable in as well in terms of running their offense. So, yeah, for me, Memphis, there's not a lot of big adjustments I don't think that need to be made for them to win this game outright and to be competitive. And I think, again, we get it from the opening tip where all season long we've seen the first quarter, first half, this Memphis team come out, really throttle teams, force turnovers. I mean, the Warriors are a very turnover-prone team. We know that for a fact. They're one of the worst rated teams in the league in terms of live turnovers as well. So if they come in with a defensive identity and intensity that allows them to generate those turnovers, play in transition, and then play from in front, I think that they should be able to hold on this time around. I'm not willing to say that the Warriors are infinitely better than Memphis at this point. I still think that they're two pretty evenly rated teams where Golden State probably wins out via experience, if nothing else. So yeah, I think first quarter, first half looks for Memphis here make a ton of sense, and probably my biggest edges on the board. In terms of full game, it's going to be tight again. And again, you have to negate that Warriors third quarter, which has become exactly what it was during their championship seasons, where coming out of the half, the adjustments they make at halftime are pretty noticeable, and they certainly turn it on another level. So I'd rather just avoid that altogether and stick with the first quarter, first half look on Memphis and not have to sweat a third quarter from Golden State. But if I had to pick a full game as well, I think I would lean Memphis. I think they do tie this series up before it goes back to the Bay Area.
Fair enough. When do you guys say, I'm going to forgo the 2 points for the Warriors or whatnot and just take the money line, Chris? I mean, because that screwed both me and you last game, is taking the -2 and we lost. So where's your cutoff in terms of laying the juice for the money line?
Yeah, obviously all things easy to say in the past, right? I wish I took the money line too in that game, but the reality is very few NBA games end on only 1 point, right? If you just look at the pure stats, that just rarely happens. Now in the playoffs, you can make a case early, and I haven't done the research, that these games are probably going to be a lot closer. So maybe it's a better idea to do it in the playoffs. But I'm not a big money line guy unless I'm forced to. If it's, obviously unless I like the dog and I think they're going to win straight up, or if it's a really close line, like if it's a pick'em, then it has to be a pick'em. But I would say it's probably more advantageous, like a sport like the NFL, right, where you got those 2-point conversions, you got field goals, you got crazy things that can happen at the end, and those 1 or 2 point games can happen more frequently, but we just don't see it in the NBA.
All right, good to know. Let's move on to questions. Ooh, unfortunately, where is everyone today? We don't even have any questions. Come on, people. I guess I can ask. We'll go over this game that we have here. Chris is playing the Warriors -2. I am playing the under 227.5. And Josh is playing first quarter, first half, both taking the Grizzlies on the side. All right.